This is incredible. I'm getting it.
You're getting what?
A stock.
What stock?
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Stock Market Show. This is your host, Shades. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Let's talk about RGTI. Rigetti stock sitting under $10 again. We know quantum computing is the future. We got some analyst ratings. Price targets being raised to $8 and above. On top of that, we also know that the stock is struggling to get above $12. It tried twice, failed to do so. It actually faked out someone in my Discord. He tried to day trade it thinking, oh, it's going to break out and we're going to close this gap to 20. Woo! Because there's some degenerates in my Discord as well, which I have a whole room called the trade ideas for them if they want to be degenerates and try to turn 10K into 100K real quick while taking massive risk, of course. That's the downside of that. So I recognized the fake out and I stayed out of it. I was like, let's stay out of this fake out. Like, maybe I'll take advantage of it in pre-market, but that's about it. Then dump it on the people at open and they can hold the bag. that's pretty much what I did. But here, sellers are taking control again. I would watch for $6. That's the bottom. Like, that is the bottom right here. I believe that is the bottom. But if it comes down there, guys, I'm telling you right now, load up cheap. That is how much more clear can I make that one, right? Here it tried to get pushed down by sellers, and then it pumped again, pushed back down here, and it pumped again, pushed back down here after that huge run here from 7 to 20, and came right back down to 6. So we would expect, if it's going to come down, we would expect actually a double bottom, maybe even forming here. Not saying it's going to happen, but if it comes down to 6 to 7, that's a buy opportunity in my opinion. That's a very clear bottom. Now that doesn't mean the bottom's going to hold, but if it holds, not a bad idea to buy. And we got the 200 weighted moving average, which would, by the time this comes down here, if it does, the weighted moving average would be somewhere around it, near the price. So it would be very interesting. It's like everything's lining up. We would also be lining up for a crossover as well. This is just based off of experience, but it's looking good for a buy. And I imagine the RSI would cool down as well if it does come back down here. And if we form that double bottom, it's bullish. So I would watch for this to hold here. Like, I would not blame you for setting a limit order at like 620, 650 and scoop some shares there for a flip or for long, depending on your what you're looking to do. But the reason I'm saying the 200 weighted moving average, the last time we would touch the 200 weighted moving average, we just skyrocketed. When we were below it, it was a buy, right? When we were below it, no one wanted it because it's like, oh, who cares about this stock? And then once it got up above it, it just ran huge. So this 200 weighted moving average is going to act as support. It can also act as an entry. If it touches it, it's a buy. If the bottom touches it, you buy. If the crossover happens, it's a buy. I just gave you 3 different entry signals. That's what I just gave you, because that's what I use. I have 3 different entry signals. If it reveals a bottom to us, we take advantage of that, right? Like, I've told you guys this before. People say you can't time the bottom, but if the bottom is very obvious, you can't time the bottom, right? If it's that obvious. You can also use the 200 weighted moving average as your entry. If it touches it, you buy. And you hold for the next cycle up. You can see when it was at 21, it was very far away from that 200 weighted moving average. Now it's coming on down naturally, as it should, because things don't go up forever, just like things don't go down forever, right? So you got multiple entry points. You can wait for the 200. You can buy down here with a limit order and scoop some shares, or you can still continue to wait for the MACD crossover. But in my opinion, looks like we're lining up for a potential for getting sellers done and finished with, getting them out of the way, and we finally start moving to the upside. But because we're waiting on the Trump administration, and that's right around the corner, literally 2 days from now, uh, I would exercise some caution and see what happens. Because the market right now is just waiting. It's just waiting for the big man to take his seat at the Oval Office and see what's going to happen. Are they actually going to do a ton of executive orders? If they do, it's going to be, like I said, the market's going to react and it's going to be interesting. That's all I'm going to say. One guy in my Discord assumed that because Trump is going into office, it's going to be, sunshine and rainbows. We're going to the moon. And I told him, I'm like, I don't assume anything. I'm not going to assume anything. Trump could do something incredible and the market reacts negatively. How many times have we seen Tesla have good earnings and then it still drops anyways? Like, it's just, you can't assume anything. Not in the markets. The markets don't care what you think. They don't. It doesn't care what I think. It doesn't care what you think. It doesn't. I don't care. It doesn't care if you think this is the bottom here. A lot of people thought, oh, we're going to bounce huge here, and it didn't. It just kept going lower. Does not care what you think. Does not care what I think. This is why I trade using a system. Why I trade using indicators. Because the market doesn't care what I think. The market's going to do what it does. The best that I can do is A, get in on the crossover, or B, get in where there's a clear bottom, where buyers are clearly loving the share price. Like, they love it so much at $6 that people can't help but to buy more at that level, right? That's what holds it up, because there's just so many people willing to buy at $6. Like, so many people are in agreement. Like, hey, yeah, I love this at $6. That's real cheap. Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, and then so many people buy that sellers just can't push it down lower. That's what it comes down to. But again, the market doesn't care what I think or you think. You can think this is the bottom. It doesn't matter. It might just break through it, right? So that's why I've been pounding the table on waiting for the MACD crossover. The best entry point will always be the crossover on the MACD. The second best will be the 200 weighted moving average, and the third best would be the bottom. The bottom it's very difficult to time a bottom because it's rare that it reveals itself and makes itself obvious. Like, if you think about that, if it was that easy, we'd all just time bottoms. But it's rare that a stock just reveals to you a very clear bottom. Like Sybil stock, very clear and obvious bottom down here. Every time it comes down to 005s to 7s, it's a buy. That's the bottom, and you can time it, and you can see we've timed it twice, and we made our money. Tilray, another example. You think this is like when you find a stock you can abuse the bottom of? That's why my motto is abuse that big bottom. Like, buy that, slap that big ass. Like, look at Tilray. We abused this one for over a year because it just kept holding at around 150 to 170. That's the bottom. It's very obvious and very clear here. And we took advantage of every pump. So when it's obvious, which it's not going to be if it was this easy, right? We would just abuse it. I keep telling people, if if Rigetti shows you a bottom, might as well abuse it. And you take the small loss if it breaks down. Oh no, if it breaks down, oh well. You take such a small loss if it does go lower. I'm giving you the strategies for free. I don't care. Most people aren't going to be disciplined. I know for a fact they're not going to be disciplined at patience, because a lot of people told me, hey, it's going to bounce huge here. That it can't go lower after such a huge 50% drop, right? And it didn't. It kept going lower. So the market doesn't care what you think. It doesn't care what I think. That is why I wait for the MACD. I think this is the bottom. I believe this is the bottom, but that doesn't mean anything. The crossover, until that happens, I'm not buying, because I'm like I said, I trade like a machine, like a bot. The market tells you the story, and you got to follow it. If you assume things, it doesn't care about you, it doesn't care about me or what I think. The best we can do is buying the crossover, in my opinion, or whatever other indicator you use. Everyone has different indicators, different entry points. My entry points are that 200 weighted moving average, the MACD, and of course, if there's a clear bottom, that as well. But with this one, I'm going to stick to the purple line and the MACD crossover. Again, would not blame you. I'm telling you, I would not blame you for trying to time it down here. Absolutely. Like I'm telling you, like if you do it, you can make some money. But I'm not going to try and time it, not with the new administration coming, because we don't know what's going to happen. We don't. Let's not pretend like we do. I'm not going to assume anything, because the market ain't assuming anything. The market is just going sideways since we hit a high on Nvidia back in November, and we know what happened in November, right? What happened? Who won? Trump. Isn't it odd that Trump won? And I mentioned this yesterday. Trump won, and we're going sideways since then, and it's like we're waiting. That's it. It's like we're waiting. The big players are waiting. That's what it seems like to me. That's speculation, but I just find it odd that like we're just going sideways. Even silver, I believe, was going sideways as well. SPY reached a high back in December, and we have not created a new high. Silver, as I was saying, I think so. Was it silver or was it gold? Yeah, like ever since around that election, it's been like market's kind of just waiting, right? We're in a wedge here. Like, are we gonna go up or down? Tesla's in a wedge too, I believe, if I recall. Like, we're literally on the cusp of either a great bull market or we're on the cusp of dumping. This is not Tesla. This is, what the hell is that? TS. Yeah, here's Tesla. You see that obvious wedge? Look at that. They teased it. they teased it. They made it look like we're going to break out and go to the moon, right? And then they brought it right back down inside the wedge right at the end of the day. Wow. It's almost like it's being manipulated, huh? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that interesting? So I expect a very volatile move on Tuesday, and I would advise you to wait and then react. Don't just assume, because those people who assume, why would you assume the market doesn't care about you? I don't assume anything. I assume I'm wrong until the market shows me that crossover. I'm wrong. I'm telling you, I'm wrong until the market shows me that crossover. I'm wrong. Like, I will admit I am wrong until the market shows me that crossover. All right? Like, no, yeah, you got to respect the stock market. It doesn't care about you. It doesn't care about me. I will respect it and I will wait for the crossover, which I've shown before. It has been, and will continue to be money in the bank. And if I don't trust the crossover, guess what? I'll trust the 200 weighted moving average then. Like, I just gave you so many entry points. Some of you just went, no, but I like to assume things, Shades. I like to assume and try to time things. Good for you, but sometimes you get burned. Sometimes you end up holding a bag, and I don't like holding no bag. I'll take my tiny loss, move on, and buy in cheaper instead of having my account tied to that stock. Right? Have you ever had money tied up in a stock and you wish you had that money to put it into something else that's running? I'm sure that's happened to some people, and I know the feeling because I've been there. I'm like, oh, why did I hold this bag? Why did I hold this? If I sell it, I'd sell it at a loss to chase something else. Oh man, I should have taken my profit, or I should have, I should not have jumped in and averaged down. If I had not tied up all my money in this, I would have this money to put it into that stock that's running huge. And oh my God, I missed out. If I had not tied up my money on this averaging down, I could have chased that other stock it would have made me 100%, 200, 300%. But because I have everything tied up, because I don't have a strategy, of an entry strategy more than anything, it's, I've seen that. I've seen that happen, which is the worst thing you can do. Why would you want to have all your money tied up on one stock? Cash is a position, and it's a beautiful one because you'll have that money ready for when an incredible opportunity presents itself. All right, guys, that's it for the video. As always, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.